I've posted videos about shoes before, but I still get a lot of questions, especially when people see the bottom of my shoes when I'm dancing and they're wondering what these circles are. So I thought I would take this opportunity to do kind of a comprehensive review of all the shoes that I have recommended over the last 2.5 years. And I'm going to do this kind of in a chronological storytelling way, starting with these shoes. These were the first shuffle shoes that I wore, and I got these from Costco. They were like $29. I bought several different pairs in some different colors, and I really loved them because they met the criteria that I required, which was super flat and soft rubber soles. I definitely wanted super flat because I didn't want to risk rolling an ankle or shredding my knees. And the rubber soles ensured that I was able to stick the landing when I did big moves like the Polly Pocket. If you're going to be doing impact moves, you cannot have slick-soled shoes or your feet will sweep right out from under you. So these were actually pretty good for hitting those big moves, but they made pivoting really difficult because they were super sticky. So I learned early on to make my shoes as not sticky as possible. One way to do that is to wear down the treads of the shoes as much as you can to get a nice smooth bottom. Another thing you can do is make the soles of your shoes really dirty. Dirty or dusty soles are a lot less sticky and make pivoting a lot easier. But even with all that, I had to learn other ways to pivot a little bit easier. And by far, the best way to improve your pivoting has nothing to do with shoes. It has everything to do with your ankle strength. When you can get higher up on your toes and higher up on your heels, you're reducing your contact with the floor and thus reducing your friction. And I just can't stress that concept enough because so many people believe that being able to shuffle dance has everything to do with the shoes, and it actually isn't. It has everything to do with your ankles and your ankle strength. And speaking of ankle strength, that's a mistake that I made early on that I am constantly trying to warn people about. I overtrained a lot initially, and one day I woke up and I couldn't even walk to the bathroom. My ankles were completely destroyed. In fact, I had to walk on crutches for about a week, and then I couldn't dance again for about a month. When I was able to start dancing again, I bought myself some of these high tops. These are Under Armour volleyball high tops. And because they're court shoes, they're lightweight-ish. They're definitely not as lightweight as the ones that I just showed you, but lighter weight than a lot of other high tops. And I liked these because they were really high tops. So I laced them up to the top, I tied them really tight, and I got great ankle support from that. Then over the course of time, as my ankles got a lot stronger, I went back to my flat shoes because they were lighter weight. But I also wanted some shoes that were a little bit trendy so that I could wear them outside or at festivals. And that's why I got these Converse high tops. These are actually really popular shoes as well. They have really nice soles without thick treads, and they're still rubber, but a little on the harder side. Cute little high tops, very fun to wear. At first I was talking people out of Converse because they were really heavy, but the newer styles are much lighter weight, so really no problem at all dancing in Converse. And of course, there are many other styles like Converse, Vans, and others that are also really cute and really trendy to wear outside shuffle dancing. But of course, the real game changer came when I found Fuego dance shoes. And I was already 2 years into dancing before I found Fuegos. And Fuegos are the real game changer because they have these pivot circles on the bottom. So I'll bring this a little bit closer. These are my brand new ones. I haven't even worn them yet. The bottoms of these soles are kind of a hard rubber, which you absolutely have to have so that you can hit those big moves. So if I'm landing a Polly Pocket on the heel right here, I have no problem sticking that Polly Pocket. My feet are not going to sweep out from under me. However, when I get into my pivot moves like the Charleston and the T-step, it has these hard plastic circles here that make pivoting really, really easy. And of course, in shuffle dancing, we're doing both toe pivots and heel pivots. So these are perfectly designed for shuffle dancing. So a couple other points about Fuegos. First, you can see that I have 6 pairs now, which I know is a little gluttonous, but full disclosure, I am in an ambassador program with Fuego. If you use my promo code MidlifeShuffle10, you get 10% off, and I also get a kickback from that. So I pretty much used my kickback money to buy more Fuegos. But each of these kind of has a different purpose, so let me describe all of them. The first pair I got were just these low tops. They're leather on top, so I think these shoes are actually really fantastic if you're somebody who has narrow feet, because the leather doesn't have a lot of give. And I have narrow feet, so I really like these a lot. The second pair I got were the high tops, partly because I thought they were cute, but also because I wanted a little bit more ankle support. I went through kind of a slow period. I wasn't dancing that much. When I started back up again, my ankles were a little bit sore. So I got these, tied them all the way up to the top. They're definitely not as high top as my first original high tops, which pretty much go up to my shin. These are a little bit lower, but when you tie them pretty tightly, they do offer a little bit of support. Then I got this red pair, which I just thought were cool looking. These are also leather, so not much give. The ones that do have give are these fabric ones. So I'll come up a little bit close. These are kind of dirty, which is a little bit gross, but these shoes are made of fabric, and so they have a lot more give. So if you're somebody who has wide feet, I think you're going to find these Fuegos to be really comfortable. These ones came with these really thick, obnoxious kind of laces that were just completely impractical. You couldn't even hardly tie them. I removed the laces and replaced them with my own laces because I just couldn't be bothered with that chore. So Fuegos definitely are top of the line as far as I can tell for shuffle dancing. They're a little bit pricey, so if you're interested in using my promo code, it's Midlife Shuffle 10. It's not a huge help, it's 10% off, but it might cover your shipping. And then the last thing I want to talk about for the women out there are shoes that you can wear at an event or a wedding where you're wearing a formal dress or something like that. These are, and by the way, I would wear my Fuegos to a wedding like in a second. I'd have no problem doing that. But if you want to be a little bit more classy, these are the ballet slippers that, of course, you can change into after you want to take your high heels off. These ones I really love a lot. These are called dream pairs. And the reason I love them is because they're not the cheap, flimsy ones that you usually get. These actually have a hard rubber sole that make dancing a lot easier, especially if you're on a floor that's, cement or something like that. Way better than the cheap, flimsy ones. Of course, you can buy the cheap, flimsy ones, but it's going to feel like you're dancing barefoot. And I personally cannot dance barefoot. I hate that feeling. If that doesn't bother you, you might be fine with those shoes. These dream pairs, however, very cheap. They come in with a little bag. They're foldable. Absolutely love them for parties and events. Okay, so thanks for sticking with me on this very comprehensive overview of shoes. Please reach out if you have any questions. Thanks for watching. See you next time.